Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Chicago back with another banger video, and I gotta be a little bit quiet. I am sorry, it is actually 1:15 a.m., so your boy's gotta be a little bit quiet. But of course, I got a nice video for you guys. As you can tell, tier list King Kago is back with the prime content. I'm back in my element, and I think you guys are gonna enjoy this one. But first, before anything, the last couple of videos have been on the uptrend, so I hope this one is too. I think you guys will like it. But the road to 40K is real. Like, subscribe, comment. It's free. Share the video with me on Twitter. Just spread the love. Help me help you. You get help. Yeah, whatever. You know the drill. But I appreciate you guys super for all your help in this. But let's just keep it up, you know. But to get straight in the video, let's let's just dive in real quick. As you can tell with the numbers, this might be the smartest players of all time tier list. Who knows? But actually, this is actually a tier list for the smartest players in my opinion. So as you can see, we've got 200 IQ, so absolute beast in the brains department. 175, 150, and yeah. So I'll explain my thought process a little bit because I'm going to be going through these players up to turn Turo basically. Yep. Uh just because those are like the top teams. But let's just get right into it, you know? All right, Turbo Pulsa. No question, this man's S tier. Turbo Pulsa is definitely number one in S. I think that is clear. The man, obviously, his mechanics aren't his strong suit, but his brains are what keep him winning world championships, keep him in the loop, keep him in the conversation for the best teams in the world. So, because of that, Turbo's going to be there. Now, Justin, I put him in 175. Now, let me explain myself, Justin fanboys, please, why he's on 200. So, I believe Justin plays a very defensive, conservative role, like we've seen in the, the replay reviews. But I think a lot of the times you'll see Justin on the goal line, and he might not be diving or jumping for balls that maybe he could. So because of it, he's not taking that risk to help his team. When if he just dove at that ball, or he would have, he would have helped his team in the long run. But I think you rarely also see Justin making mistakes because of his mechanical prowess. And mechanics can take you so far in this game. So if you do make mistakes, your mechanics can back you up. Now that wasn't the greatest explanation, Justin, but I'm gonna back it up with Miss and basically say the same thing. Now Miss is in the same kind of category with Justin, except I think maybe Miss might even be a little bit more defensive. But when you have a player on the goal line all the time, and you see them get scored on, you're obviously not gonna say it was the person in the goal line's fault. Like they couldn't save it was a good shot by the other team, right? But instead, I think if a person's on the goal line all the time, they could be challenging for a ball that could help their team. That way, it doesn't even get close to the shot opportunity. Or maybe because they aren't challenging at all, uh, they're not throwing themselves out of the play, right? So it's kind of like tail of both sides, you know, because they're not diving at all. But maybe if they had a dive, it would have helped their team or could have made them worse. But because they don't really do like too many risky plays, but they're kind of selfish at doing it, I want to put them in 175. Now, that wasn't the greatest explanation. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to make this video not crazy length. Now, Reynolds, I'm also going to put 175. But guys, trust me, this list is not going to get overcrowded in the slightest. And you guys will see, like in terms of the stacks of the list. But Reynolds, again, he's definitely not known for his mechanics. He isn't a very aggressive bumper slash, I would say, player. Maybe not too aggressive, but second most aggressive on SSG, clearly behind Arsenal, but his mechanics obviously aren't the top tier, so he has to use those brains and those rotations to help his team out and when to go for the right bumps, when to go for the right dribbles, passes, you know. And I think Reynolds is pretty good at that. Now Garrett, again, I would probably let me switch this up. So I'm gonna put Garrett here and Miss behind Reynolds. But I do think Garrett and Justin, at least in the replays we saw, and especially towards the end of the season, Garrett is kind of like the opposite side of the spectrum. Garrett is so aggressive for his energy team because he needs to be, because the other two players are a little bit, or teammates I should say, are a little bit probably more on the defensive side. But because of that, I think Garrett maybe probably goes too aggro sometimes, maybe jumps for stuff that he shouldn't, or goes for a boost steal or bump that just leaves him out to play, and because of it his team then gets left in an awkward situation. But I think it's also very rare that Garrett does that, but I just don't want to overcrowd the 200 IQ. But Garrett, definitely him and Just are kind of like the opposite, if that makes sense. Now Squishy, honestly, I would not have done this if I had not reviewed those Squishy replays. Sorry if I shut my mic, by the way, but I'm going to put Squishy in 200 IQ. Now, everyone knows Squishy on C9 was the superstar, the one making those cool plays, but ever since you've given it energy, and I think it's a reason why they're so good, is because he actually took such a diminished role. And when you see him play, and specifically when I analyze his replays, he's doing so much for his team in terms of decision making, stalling, these little things that really, elevate his team. And I think the reason why a lot of the times they're doing so well is because of Squishy's decision making, whether to commit or not to commit sometimes, and certain situations with the ball that you don't really kind of go unnoticed. All right, first killer. Now, I'd probably put first killer right here. Yes. So again, sorry the list is top heavy. It will probably change throughout the video, and I'm gonna give you guys reasons why. Um, but first killer, I'm gonna put there just because I do think first killer is very smart. But first killer is probably the most aggressive player in the game, if I had to say so. But I think it's definitely what his team's playstyle is, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. But with him going so far on the other team side, maybe going for a bump or a boosty or looking for a redirect pass from his teammates, maybe a big clear, I think sometimes he could go to that aggressive side when his teammates maybe not in the best position in terms of a defensive standpoint. So because of that, I think he leaves them in not the most optimal situation. But I think first killer, when I said in terms of like mechanics can save, I think first killer you rarely see him ever make a mistake because his mechanics are actually so good that you don't really see like him making those mistakes because his mechanics can bail him out. All right, beast mode. I'm gonna beast mode's the first 150 IQ. I think beast mode's first season was very good. I think for such a young player, he's very smart. But again, in his first split, and I don't really blame him, but he definitely had some rookie nerves that I think and rookie decisions that I think um, hindered his team a little bit. But that's to be expected. First RLCS. But I definitely think with more improvement, more experience, he'll be moving up the list. But that's gonna do it. Now Turo. Again, Turo is one of the most underrated players in RLCS. Everyone knows this. But when you see Turo, or when you think of Turo, you think of when Rogue was winning everything, they were dominating, and they were you think of the Turo that was saving everything, challenging everything, slotting everything that needed to be scored that was just left in the open. But in reality, Turo isn't like that 24/7, or else he'd be one of the best players, obviously. And he also hasn't been at the top of the RLCS for too long, only 2 splits with Rogue. So because of that, I can't really put him any higher. Now, memory is very solid. He's not one to make mistakes too often, but he's kind of in the middle where he doesn't have like absolutely zero mechanics, but he also doesn't have like the biggest turbo brain. So he's right in the middle, kind of just floating like that, but not much I can do like that. I'm not gonna rank myself, but I'd put myself probably in this category, to be honest, because I'm not gonna lie. I'm not obviously I make mistakes. I'm not the smartest player. All right, wait. Arsenal was next, so I'm gonna put Arsenal probably top of 150 because I need to make it even. Or Arsenal is by far the most aggressive player in SSG. The bumps, the boost steals, the plays he does is actually menace to society type plays. But let me move myself here. Uh, because of that, I think those aggressive plays can sometimes be too much, and sometimes he might not know the exact point when to switch off that aggressive bump slash demo heavy playstyle, and maybe it leaves Sipical or Reynolds in a 1v2, stuff like that. But you don't always see Arsenal making the right decision 100% of the time. Now, Sip. I'm going to put Sip in S tier because both of his teammates are super aggressive in Reynolds and Arsenal and boost stealing and demoing. That Sip has to be a third man that is very, very smart on top of his game. And as I've probably said before, SSG does not have the most entertaining playstyle, but it's very efficient. And typical with his air dribbles and his ways to kill time because of his teammates. Because of that and his decision making, he's never going to overcommit for a ball where he shouldn't, or maybe rarely does, or he doesn't go for a ball that he shouldn't, so he can stay back on defense and stall that time for his teammates to get back. So because of that, he's going to be an S. Now, Atomic, I'm going to put Atomic right next to Arsenal because, in my opinion, Atomic is a absolute menace on the ball. And in terms of IQ on the ball, how to get past defenders, how to weave his way through and make a play happen, I think he's 200 IQ. But I think his maybe off ball rotations can be a little bit wonky sometimes as well. I swear he's always a little bit low on boost. Maybe that's NB playstyle he doesn't get, but I'd say because of that, I'd put him top of 150. But again, obviously every player on this list is smart, and you can't be not smart to be on a top team. But I just have to be nitpicky to try and even it out and make it, entertaining for you guys. JNaps, I'm gonna put JNaps Okay, if I'm being real, I want to put. Obviously, I'm going to say my teammate's 200 IQ, but I'm trying to look at it as not a biased point of view because I think that's stupid. But I'm going to be real. The G2 playstyle is very can be very hit or miss sometimes, and me and JNAPS have been a part of it, and we can make some dumb decisions and commit and over aggress and make some bad passes when that just shouldn't be the play. Now, definitely say JNAPS is probably above me in terms of IQ, but because of that, I can't say like we're the smartest team ever. You know. Now, Drees, we got to see very little in RLCS. Obviously, when he's playing with two super aggressive players, he's gonna make mistakes, and I don't blame him at all. He's literally played not even a full split, so I can't really put him any higher than this for this reason. But I believe with time, just like Beast Mode, he'll go up. Alu, I'm honestly gonna put. This is probably gonna be the biggest shocker of the video, but I'm just gonna do it right here. This is a this is a IQ tier list, right, guys? But I think when I think of FaZe, they're all equal in terms of decision making. I think they all made good decisions, and I think they all made bad ones. If this was mechanics, AJ would be the number one, right? But it's not. But AJ and Gyro and Alu, I never saw one of them like in terms of just game like sense. One of them just stand so far above the next that you're like, oh my god. I think they all had their moments. I never really think they all three popped off at once, in my opinion. But I also don't want to fill this 150 too much. So because of it, I'm going to put them in 125 and try and balance it out. All right, for the last player. Oh, no, wait. We have Rapid. Let me put Rapid right here. I think Rapid's a crazy aggressive player, and I think he could definitely do a lot more with what he does. But I think that aggression sometimes leads him out of position and kind of hinders his team and leaves them stranded sometimes. But last, and I have to fill the 100 IQ. But again, like I said, every player is going to have to be above average in terms of IQ if you're going to be on a top team. But Turo, I'm not going to lie, his playstyle is very interesting to say the least. He'll go for flip resets when I think aren't the best times. Maybe solo plays, maybe go for a boost when it's just not the right time. A flip reset when his teammates are like he's just 5 feet above the ground. But that's just my personal opinion, and I'm gonna put him in 100 IQ. Now again, guys, this is literally all personal opinion. Don't get mad if I said this because you guys could have a different opinion, and that's what makes these videos interesting and great is that we can all have different opinions and share them, and it doesn't have to be hostile, right? You'd say, oh, I'd put this person in this tier for this reason, right? But yeah, that's gonna do it for the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell me what kind of tier list, what kind of videos you guys want to see next. But I appreciate you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, evening, afternoon, morning. But peace.